Hello and welcome to our video. We had a loose plan to visit quite a few islands around the west coast, and we started our trip in Dunstafnage Marina. As it was quite late in the day, we opted not to go too far. We made the short hop across to Mull without any problems. Craignewer has the main Calmac ferry, but we kept clear of that and opted to moor up on the old jetty. Suitably refreshed, we headed off for a short hop across to a private bothy that we know. We were in for a little surprise, as you'll see. With the boats floating again and all loaded up, we're headed off for the next step on our adventure. It was nice to see some sunshine this time. Conditions were good, the forecast was good, so we were able to be a little bit more ambitious. We headed over towards Mull and Tiree. The weather got greyer and greyer. So much for the forecast. After hugging the coast all the way down to the south end of Tiree, we found a nice shale beach where we could land the boats and hopefully set up camp for the night. As you can see, it didn't brighten up much. But it was a calm bay and we enjoyed a good night's sleep. In the morning, we packed everything up to head back down towards the Sound of Mull. Being so exposed, it wouldn't take much of a change in the weather to get us trapped here for some time. We had another grey, dull journey back. Saw a few puffins on the way before we finally got to the Sound of Mull. We took advantage of the petrol station that's very close to the marina because we knew we still had a lot of miles to do. As it was high water, we decided we had enough water to head through the bay at Tobermory on the south side, which is normally quite shallow. We were in for a surprise. With our close encounter over, we headed off back into the Sound of Mull. It was nice to see some sunshine after all the grey mist. We were heading south, hoping to stop at Easdale and have something to eat. Calm seas gave us good progress. Easdale is well worth a visit. It's a strange and quite desolate place, but has a beauty all of its own. It seems a little strange, but what's basically a deserted quarry is a really lovely place to visit. Now we were fed and watered, we headed off south again, hoping to head to Jura. As it was neap tides, or almost, and nearly high tide, we thought we'd have little luck into the Gulf of Corryvreckan. We figured if we saw anything dodgy, we'd turn round straight away. Even with such calm waters, it has an eerie feel to the place. And whilst I didn't see any whirlpools, as I got to the far end, some standing waves just started to appear out of nowhere. I decided that was enough and headed back. These standing waves quickly grew and then subsided in no time at all. Goodness knows what's going on underneath. The other guys popped down to have a look, but I'd seen enough by then. Some big rolling waves were coming through the Gulf of Corryvreckan from the Atlantic. It was quite fun though. As we made our way along the Sound of Jura, these steep waves became shorter in interval and higher and caused us to slow down a bit. It was quite fun though. The guys proved how capable a very small Sib can be. I was happier in my rib, even though it was only 5 metres. We encountered a few more bouncy conditions before finally finding somewhere to anchor up and put our tents up for the night. We'd done a lot of miles and it had been a long day and we were all ready for a rest. This was perfect. This is now one of my favourite anchorages. We were joined by a lovely young family on their first trip out on a boat that they'd recently restored. The next day, Peter and I headed over to Gear while the rest of the crew decided to go to Isla. It's a beautiful little island with a good pontoon, some mooring buoys, plenty of space to anchor your boat, and quite sheltered from the prevailing westerlies. It also has an excellent seafood restaurant. We enjoyed one of the best seafood meals we've had in a long time. We also had the company of a very friendly and talkative dog. Gia is somewhere that I will be going back to when I have more time. And on the way back we were lucky enough to briefly see a pilot whale. Having really enjoyed our 2-night stay on Jura, we headed north again. Once again on the northwest coast of Jura we met up with some bumpy bits. It's quite disconcerting on a calm sea to see white caps ahead of you. But these were nothing we couldn't manage, and we just kept plodding north. Whilst heading north we were lucky enough to spot a sea eagle climb out of its nest onto some branches and watched it for a few minutes. We had an uneventful journey until we eventually arrived at the Slate Islands. There must have been quite a tidal flow as this was really bumpy. We found a good spot to anchor up just below Loch Fiachan. We'd been fairly lucky with the midges up until this point. But we were prepared, so we just got on with it. The next day we decided to have a ride up Loch Fiachan. This has a narrow channel that's buoyed by the marina. Our Dora marina is small but really quite pleasant. stretched our legs and had a little look around before heading off again. The tide was really running now, as you can see from this marker buoy. We now headed up the Sound of Seal, as Al had told us that we could get underneath Atlantic Bridge and navigate all the way around. When we arrived, however, there was no water underneath the bridge. It was a good excuse to stop at the pub though. After a fantastic meal and a couple of pints, and even a short sleep on the grass, we headed north under the Atlantic Bridge. And that was it. We headed a few miles north up to Dunstafnage Marina to put the boats back on the trailers and make the long journey home. We'd all had a really good time.